Okay, so in today's class we will discuss about mutual exclusion. Mutual exclusion is of two types. Number one is token based. Next is permission based. Okay, token based, permission based. So same here, mutual exclusion algorithm are classified into two different category. Number one, Shrufina, token based algorithm, and here alternative is permission based algorithm. Okay. Now, what is token based algorithm? Token based algorithm is nothing but, let's say, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is let's say this is token T. If token T मौजूद with process वाहिद, he will access the resource. So بعدين समझेगा, यानी when process 1 finish, he will pass this token to process number 2. So now process number 2 will access the resource. After some time, he will pass the token with process number 3. Now process number 3 will access the resource. Meaning is, any process who has the token will access the resource. If any process Mafi token, yani Mafi access the resource. Okay, so that's why here known as token. Now, this token-based algorithm has few important property. Mumkin in exam, uktub the important property of token-based algorithm, token-based solution. So property number wahid, this is property number wahid, yani kullu process like process wahid, process itnain, process talata, process arba, process kullu divided into fair access, FAR fairly access. Fairly access meaning is, if hada let's say minimum maximum dagiga is khamsa, so tani mafi yani any process mafi less greater than 5, 3, 4, 5, 2, yani all process less than 5. So this is meaning fairly access, so that kullu process will access the resource yani fairly, in fairly manner. Number two is, this is number two, deadlock. Yani with the help of token T, we will avoid deadlock. We will avoid deadlock. How deadlock is avoided? Because in the, let's say this is process 1, process 2, process 3, process 4, process 5. If kullu process want to access the resource at same time in a deadlock, but using token based algorithm, min khamsa only wahid will access, because here if any process has token he will access, so that's why mafi deadlock. Okay, so any process has token, he will access the resource. That's why min khamsa, min ashra, min khamsa, any wahid will access the resource. So that's why mafi deadlock. Understand, Mohammed? All students? Yes. Tell me. Yeah, students. Okay. Now next is permission based approach. Permission based approach. Permission yani lazim permission. For example, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. Khamsa process मौजूद. Now, if process number wahid want to access the resource, देन लाजिम परमिशन फ्रॉम इतनेन, लाजिम तलाता अरबा यानी इतनेन विल गिव परमिशन ओके, तलाता will give okay, arba will give okay, and kamsa will give okay. If kullu process will give permission to process number wahid, then alatul he will access the resource. Again shuf, there are khamsa process मौजूद, min khamsa process number wahid want to access the resource. So if he want to access the resource, then lazim permission from kullu bagi process. Bagi process yani process number itnain talata arba khamsa. So process number itnain will send okay message. Okay yani permission. Okay yani permission. Ittalata will send, arba will send, khamsa will send. When process number wahid will receive the okay message, yani permission message from kullu process, then alatul he will access the resource. Okay, Muhammad. So this is known as permission based. Mumkin from hina nus marks question in the exam or wahid marks question like this. Important property. What are the important property? Okay, question number 2. Explain permission based. Explain token based in definition. Next. Okay. Now, Shufina, token अव्वल we will show token based algorithm. Token based algorithm or of ithnain type. अव्वल ism centralized, tani ism D decentralized. So अव्वल we will show centralized algorithm. Okay, Shufina. Let's say there is process number wahid, process number ithnain, process number talat, and process number arba. This is diagram 1, diagram 2, diagram 3. Understand, huh? Mumkin numerical question on this. Understand this problem, huh? Okay, Mohammed. Now there are, yani this is diagram number wahid, diagram number itnain, diagram number talata. In exam, you have to talata diagram, talata diagram, talata mark. Okay. Now process wahid, process itnain, process talata, process arba. Min arba process, you have to select wahid process as a coordinator. You have to select wahid process as a coordinator. 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 Okay. We will show in the baden how we will select. Yani there are different algorithm to select the coordinator. We will show that algorithm in chapter number arba. Okay, here just only understand in the process the number who is big ala tool coordinator. Again here only the knowledge like min 1 2 3 4. So inside this the number who is big is always the coordinator. So tell me who is the coordinator here. Tell me who is the coordinator. A student. Yes, process number 4 is the coordinator. Okay, now this is Wahid example. In this 1, 2, 3, 4 Arba process मौजूद. Arba is the coordinator. Now process Wahid want to access the resource. So if he want to access the resource, he will send message. Yani message yani है, he will send request. Okay. Then process arba will shuf in the intazar saf. There is wahid intazar saf that is known as queue. So process arba will shuf in the intazar saf. If mafi process मौजूद in the intazar saf, then alatul he will reply and uktub okay. In alatul he will give permission. Again, if any process want to access the resource, he will ask permission from coordinator. Permission yani he will uktub req request. Baden samdagiga, the coordinator will shuf in the intizar surf. If mafi process मौजूद in the intizar surf, then alatul he will send okay message. Yani alatul he will give permission. Understand Mohammed this diagram number 1? Diagram number 1. Any problem? Now diagram number 2. Now here computer mashgul with process number wahid. Now at the same time process itnain want to access. So if itnain want to access, he will look to request. So now computer mashgul with wahid. So what will happen? Alatul itnain will go to the intizar saf. This understand or no? Diagram number itnain. Again I will tell you, there are here yani CPU mashgul with process wahid. At the same time process itnain want to access the resource. So when he want to access the resource, he will send permission yani request to process number arba. Now arba, he knows like process CPU mashgul with wahid. So what will happen? Process itnain go in the intizar sir. Understand or no? Diagram number 2. Okay. Diagram number 3. When process wahid finish, he will send message to arba and uktub release. Release yani hada khalas. Release yani finish. Process wahid finish. So when process arba really shuf the message release, then what he will do? He will shield wahid rakam from intizar saf and alatul send okay. Yani hada. Again, in diagram number 3, process wahid finish. So when he finish, he will send release message to coordinator. Now coordinator will shield wahid element from intizar saf. Yani in the intizar saf, process number itnain मौजूद. So alatul he will send okay message to process number itnain. Muhammad, understand talata diagram? Okay. Now shuf, same here. This is diagram number 1. Sifar wahid itnain talata kabir yani hada coordinator. Process number 1 want to access the resource, then he uktub request. Talata shuf in the intizar saf fadi yani empty. So talata send okay message. Baden samdagiga at the same time process itnain want to access, so he will send request. Now CPU mashgul with wahid, so hada itnain intizar in the intizar saf. Baden samdagiga process wahid finish, so he will look to release. Then talata will sheet wahid number from process from intizar saf and send okay. So these are the talata diagram. Hina English. This all English. Understand? Now, shift this shortcoming. Shortcoming yani disadvantage. The disadvantage of centralized approach yani when coordinator kharban, this coordinator. When coordinator kharban, then kullu system crash. Okay, this is the disadvantage of the centralized algorithm. Okay, next is decentralized algorithm. Decentralized algorithm is very easy. In this, there are talata point. Number one, number two, number three. So number one, yani each resource is assumed to be replicated n times. Yani if p wahid, p itnain, p talata, p arba up to pn, each replica has its own coordinator. So hada coordinator yani C wahid, Pitnen coordinator Citnen, Pitalata coordinator Citalata, P arba coordinator C arba, Pn coordinator yani Cn. Okay, this is number one. Now number two. However, when any process want to access the resource, it will simply need majority of vote from Kullu coordinator. So here process 1, process 2, process 3, process arba up to process n. So here C1, here C2, here C3, here C4, here Cn. So here let's say I will look up diagram like this: C1, C2, C talata, C arba, and C arba. Bas. Now tell me, C Wahid give permission to C Talata, C Arba give permission to C Itnain, and C Talata also give permission to C Itnain. So which one ज़्यादा? यानी min Arba process. C Wahid send permission to C Talata. C Talata and C Arba send permission to C Itnain. So which one permission ज़्यादा? C Talata. لا هذا C Itnain. C اثنين هذا ثلاثة هذا أربعة هذا واحد. So tell me which one permission ज़्यादा? यानी which one has, yes, C2 has इथनेन. So that's why هنا C2 access the resource. Yani meaning is the coordinator who has permission ज़्यादा ala tool access. The coordinator who has less permission माफी access. यानी to access the resource lazim ज़्यादा यानी majority of permission. Understand number 2 point? Any problem? All students? All students? Yes. Okay, now number 3. Number 3, if let's say hada process 1 and hada coordinator 1, if coordinator 1 Kharban, then you have to restart. Okay, yani again you have to do the process, and when you restart you forget the Gadim permission. Again, when any coordinator Kharban yani delete, so you have to restart the system, restart the process. So when you restart the process, so Gadim permission forget. Okay, yani forget the Gadim permission. So these are the Talata point in decentralized algorithm. Again, I will tell you in number 1, there are process start from P Wahid row up to P Itnain. Okay, number 2 point, Kullu process has its own coordinator. Coordinator yani start from Wahid row up to Cn. Number 2 point, any coordinator if want to access the resource lazim permission from kullu bagi process, yani lazim ज़्यादा permission. Any coordinator having ज़्यादा permission ala tool access the resource. Number 3, if they are tie, if they are tie, then what will happen? Awwal process awwal access. Let's say there is a tie between C wahid and C ithnain, yani C wahid also 2, C ithnain also 2, then alatul C wahid will access, number 1 will access because it is created first. Okay, good question. Okay. Number 3 point, if any coordinator Kharban, then what will happen? You have to restart the process, and when you restart the process, what will happen? You will forget the Gadim permission. Okay, Gadim voting. Okay, these are the Talata points. Okay,